I never thought I'd be the guy posting here, but here we are. I'm 34M, my wife is 31F. We've been married for 6 years, together for almost 10. For most of that time, I genuinely believed we were solid. Not perfect, no relationship is, but stable, predictable, the kind where you think, yeah, this is my person. Looking back now, the cracks didn't appear all at once. It was more like small, almost forgettable things that I brushed off at the time. She started getting sharp. Not just moody, but cutting. The kind of comments that linger in your head hours later. If I asked a simple question like, hey, what time will you be home, she'd snap back with something like, why? So you can track me now. It felt disproportionate, but I told myself she was just stressed from work. Then came the little lies. At first, they were stupid. Easily provable stuff. She'd say she hadn't eaten yet, but I'd see a receipt in her bag. Or she'd claim she was at her friend's place, but when I casually brought that up later, the details wouldn't match. When I pointed it out, she'd double down hard. Like, aggressively. You're imagining things. You always twist everything. God, you're exhausting. That last one became her favorite. I started questioning myself. Seriously. I'd sit there thinking, maybe I did misremember. Maybe I was being too sensitive. Because every time I tried to calmly talk about it, it somehow turned into me being the problem. But the thing that really stuck with me was how distant she became. Not just physically, but emotionally. Conversations got shorter. Eye contact disappeared. She was always on her phone, smiling at something, but the second I walked in, the screen would flip face down like it was muscle memory. I remember one night in particular. She was in the kitchen, texting, actually smiling, like genuinely smiling in a way I hadn't seen directed at me in months. I walked in and said, half joking. Wow, whoever that is must be hilarious. She didn't even hesitate. Just work stuff. Flat. Cold. Immediate. And I don't know why, but that was the first moment something in my chest just dropped. Because it didn't feel like the truth. It felt rehearsed. At the time, I didn't have proof. Just a growing, quiet feeling that something was off in a way I couldn't explain yet. I wish I had trusted that feeling sooner. Things escalated faster than I expected, and in ways I couldn't really ignore anymore. About 2 weeks after that kitchen moment, her routine completely changed. Suddenly she had late meetings, at least 3 times a week. Not occasional, consistent. Predictable. Almost scheduled. The weird part? She never used to complain about work that much. But now every conversation was either her being overwhelmed or her snapping at me for even asking about it. One night, I tried to be supportive. I said, hey, if work's that bad, maybe you should take a couple of days off. You've been really stressed. She just looked at me like I'd insulted her. Oh, so now you're managing my career too? I literally stood there thinking, what? That's when I started paying closer attention. She became glued to her phone. Like, obsessively. Bathroom? Phone. Shower? Phone within arm's reach. Even when we were watching TV together, she wasn't really there. Just typing, smiling, locking the screen the second I glanced over. And yeah, I know how that sounds. I didn't want to be that paranoid husband. I kept telling myself, don't jump to conclusions. Don't be that guy. But then small things kept piling up. Her location sharing, something we both had on for years, was suddenly turned off. When I asked about it, she didn't even try to explain properly. My phone was glitching. Why do you care so much? Again, defensive. Immediate. Sharp. Another time, she said she was going to her friend Anya's place. I didn't think much of it until the next day when Anya texted me asking if everything was okay between us. That stopped me cold. I asked her what she meant, and she said, "Your wife hasn't replied to me in days. I thought you two had a fight." So yeah. My wife wasn't with Anya. I didn't confront her right away. I don't even know why. Maybe I was scared of what that would confirm. Maybe I still wanted some kind of innocent explanation to exist. Instead, I started noticing patterns. The late meetings always happened on the same days. Tuesdays. Thursdays. Sometimes Saturdays, which made even less sense. And her appearance started changing too. Not in a subtle way. New clothes. More effort. Perfume she never used around me. But when we had dinner together. Sweatpants. Hair tied up. Zero interest. It messes with your head. Because you start asking yourself questions you never thought you would. Who is she trying to look good for? Why not me? And the worst one. Am I just convenient now? I still didn't have hard proof. But at that point, it didn't feel like I was imagining things anymore. It felt like I was just behind on the truth. I wish I could say I handled what came next in some calm, rational way. I didn't. I started checking things. Not proud of it, but I also won't pretend I regret it. At first, it was small. Glancing at her phone screen when it lit up. Noticing notification names, except there usually weren't any. Just blank banners or apps without previews. That alone told me she'd changed her settings. That's not something you do randomly. One night, she left her phone on the couch when she went to shower. That never happened anymore. Like ever. It felt like a glitch in reality. I just stared at it for a good 30 seconds, arguing with myself. Don't do it. If you do this, there's no going back. But what if this is the only chance you'll ever get? Yeah. I picked it up. Locked. Face ID. Of course. But here's the thing, I've seen her unlock it 1,000 times. Same pattern every time. So I tried the passcode. First attempt, wrong. My heart was already racing. Second attempt, unlocked. I swear my stomach dropped so hard it felt physical. I didn't even know what I was looking for exactly. Messages, I guess. Something obvious. But her main chats. Clean. Almost too clean. Threads with friends, work stuff, nothing suspicious. For a second, I actually felt stupid. Like maybe I really had built this whole thing up in my head. Then I noticed one app one didn't recognize. No notifications. No badge. Just sitting there like it didn't belong. I opened it. Hidden folder. Password protected. At that point, my hands were shaking. Not in a dramatic way, just that quiet, uncontrollable tremor you get when your body already knows what your brain is about to confirm. I tried the same passcode. Didn't work. I almost gave up right there. But then I remembered something dumb, she reuses variations of the same numbers for everything. So I changed the last digit. Unlocked. I wish it hadn't. There were chats. A lot of them. But one was pinned at the top. No name. Just a heart emoji. I opened it. And yeah, there it was. Messages that weren't just flirty, they were intimate. Explicit. Casual in a way that made it clear this wasn't new. Photos. Plans. Jokes. Inside references I didn't understand. And one message from earlier that day. Same place Thursday. Miss you already. Her reply. Obviously. He still thinks I'm working late, face with tears of joy. I just sat there staring at that stupid laughing emoji. I don't know how long. It's weird what your brain focuses on in moments like that. Not the whole betrayal. Not the fact that your wife is cheating. No. A laughing emoji. Like it was funny. Like I was funny. That's when something in me didn't just break, it shifted. Because up until that moment, I was still hoping I was wrong. After that, I knew I wasn't. And now I had to decide what the hell I was going to do with that. I didn't confront her that night. That might sound crazy, but after seeing everything, I just didn't have it in me. Not yet. Instead, I put the phone back exactly where it was and sat down like nothing had happened. My heart was still pounding, but my head felt, weirdly clear. Like all the confusion from the past few weeks had finally snapped into place. She came out of the shower a few minutes later, wrapped in a towel, completely normal. Casual. "Did you eat?" she asked, like any other night. And that's when it hit me the hardest, not the messages, not the lies, but how normal she could act. Like there wasn't this entire double life running parallel to ours. I said, "Yeah," even though I hadn't. She nodded, grabbed her phone, checked it immediately, and I saw it, that same small smile. The one I used to think was for me. I had to look away. That night, I barely slept. Not because I was emotional in some explosive way, but because my brain wouldn't stop replaying everything. Every sharp comment. Every lie. Every moment I doubted myself. It all made sense now. And the worst part? She didn't even try that hard to hide it. I just trusted her enough not to look. The next day, I went to work like nothing happened. Sat through meetings. Answered emails. Even laughed at a joke someone made. It felt like I was watching myself from the outside. But internally, I was planning. Not revenge. Not anything dramatic. I just needed more clarity before I blew everything up. So I started paying closer attention than ever before. That Thursday, the one from the message, I told her I might be working late too. She barely reacted. Just a quick, okay. No questions. No curiosity. That alone told me everything. Around 7 p.m., she texted me. "Running late. Don't wait up." Same script. I left work early. I don't even remember the drive clearly. Just that my hands were tight on the steering wheel the entire time. I had the address from the messages, same place, wasn't vague anymore once you scrolled up far enough. It was a small hotel on the other side of the city. Nothing fancy. Nothing romantic. Just, convenient. I parked across the street, feeling like an absolute cliché. The suspicious husband sitting in his car, staring at a building, hoping not to see what he already knew was happening. And then I saw her. Walking in. Not rushed. Not nervous. Comfortable. Like she'd done it 100 times. She checked her phone before entering, probably messaging him, and smiled. That same smile. I didn't follow her inside. I didn't need to. Sitting there, watching that door close behind her, that was enough. That was the moment denial officially died. And something colder took its place. Not rage. Not yet. Just, certainty. When I got home later, she was already there. Sitting on the couch. Scrolling like always. She looked up and said, casually. "Long day." And I swear, for a split second, I almost laughed. Because the level of lying at that point wasn't even subtle anymore. It was routine. And I realized something in that moment. I wasn't just about to discover the truth anymore. I was about to confront someone who had zero intention of admitting it easily. For a few seconds, none of us moved. It felt surreal. Like everything slowed down but at the same time got painfully sharp. I could see every detail, her hand still lightly touching his arm, his confused expression, the way her face shifted from that relaxed smile to something colder. She was the first to react. Not by stepping away from him. Not by looking guilty. No, she looked at me like I was the problem. "What are you doing here?" she said. Flat. Irritated. I actually let out a short laugh. I couldn't help it. "Seriously?" I said. "That's your first question?" The guy next to her looked between us. What's going on?" She didn't even hesitate. "This is my husband," she said, like she was introducing me at a dinner party. Then immediately added, "He's been acting paranoid lately." Paranoid. Standing there, after everything I'd seen, everything I knew, she went with paranoid. I looked at her, trying to process how someone could say that with a straight face. Paranoid? I repeated. "You want to try that again?" She crossed her arms, already defensive. "You followed me here. Do you realize how insane that is?" That word, insane, hit differently. Because now it wasn't just denial. She was actively trying to flip the narrative in real time. I turned to the guy. "You know she's married, right?" He looked uncomfortable. Not shocked. Not outraged. Just awkward. Which told me enough. "She said you two were separated," he muttered. Of course she did. I looked back at her. "Separated?" She rolled her eyes. "We basically are. Don't act like things have been good between us." That was the first time she tried to justify it. Not apologize. Not explain. Just rewrite reality. Something in my chest tightened, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Then why lie?" I asked. "Why the late meetings? The girls' nights? Why not just say that?" She shrugged. "I didn't feel like dealing with your reactions." I just stared at her. Because that answer, it wasn't defensive anymore. It was honest. Brutally, coldly honest. She didn't tell me because my reaction would have been inconvenient. That was it. No deeper reasoning. No emotional conflict. Just convenience. "You know what the worst part is?" I said quietly. She crossed her arms again, bracing. "What?" "I would have respected you more if you'd just been honest from the start." That seemed to hit something. Not deeply, but enough to make her pause. "Well, we're here now," she said after a moment. "So what's your plan?" My plan. Like this was some kind of negotiation. I took a breath, steady. "My plan," I said, "is to stop pretending this is fixable." Her expression tightened. "There it is," she said. "You always go to extremes." "No," I replied calmly. "This isn't extreme. This is the result." She shook her head, frustrated now. "So that's it? You're just walking away?" I held her gaze. "Yes. For the first time since this whole thing started." She didn't have an immediate response. And in that silence, I realized something important. She never actually thought I would leave. Not really. All the lies, the attitude, the way she treated me, it only works if the other person stays. And the moment they don't, the whole thing starts to fall apart. I could see it happening in real time on her face. Not heartbreak. Not regret. Just, loss of control. For a few seconds, she looked, unsettled. Not emotional. Not sorry. Just off balance. "You're being serious?" she asked. There was a slight edge in her voice now, not the usual sharpness, but something closer to disbelief. "Yeah," I said. "I am." She let out a short breath, almost like a scoff. "So you're just going to throw everything away?" That phrasing irritated me more than I expected. "I'm throwing everything away?" I repeated. "That's what you think is happening here?" She rolled her eyes again, but it wasn't as confident this time. Don't twist my words. I don't need to, I said. You've been doing that just fine on your own. There was a pause. And then she switched tactics. You really think you're perfect in all this, she said. You think living with you has been easy? There it was, the counterattack. I nodded slowly. No. I don't think I'm perfect. That seemed to throw her off for a second. But I also didn't lie to you for months, I continued. I didn't cheat on you. I didn't make you feel like you were crazy for noticing something was wrong. Her jaw tightened. You were paranoid, she said, quieter now. No, I replied. I was right. That landed. You could see it in the way she looked away immediately after. Another silence. This one heavier. Then she tried something else, softer tone, slower words. Look, we can fix this, she said. If you just calm down and think about it. That almost felt surreal to hear. Now she wanted to fix it. After everything. How? I asked. She blinked, like she hadn't expected the question. What do you mean, how, she said. I mean exactly that, I replied. How do you fix this? What does that look like to you? She hesitated. And that hesitation said more than any answer could have. I can stop, she said finally. Just like that. Simple. Casual. Like it was a switch she could flip off whenever it became inconvenient. You can stop, I repeated. Yeah, she said, a bit more confidently now. We move past it. Start fresh. Start fresh. I stared at her for a second, trying to understand how she could say that without hearing how insane it sounded. Do you even hear yourself? I asked quietly. She frowned. What is that supposed to mean? It means, I said, you're talking about this like it's a bad habit. Like you forgot to take out the trash or something. She crossed her arms again, defensive. So what, you're just not even going to consider it? I shook my head. No, I said. I'm not. That answer hit harder than I expected it to, for her. Because this time, she didn't argue immediately. Instead, she studied my face. Like she was trying to figure out if I was bluffing. If this was just another argument she could outlast. But I wasn't raising my voice. I wasn't emotional in the way she was used to. I was just, certain. And I think that's what finally made it real for her. You're seriously going to end a 10-year relationship over this, she said. I held her gaze. No, I replied. You already did that. That was the first moment she didn't have anything to say back. No comeback. No deflection. Nothing. Just silence. And in that silence, the reality of what was happening finally started to settle between us. The silence didn't feel empty anymore, it felt loaded. Like everything unsaid was finally sitting on the table between us. She broke eye contact first. That alone told me more than anything she'd said that night. You're dramatic, she muttered, but it didn't land the same way anymore. I didn't respond right away. I just looked at her. You keep saying that, I said finally. But you haven't disagreed with anything I've said. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. I just think you're making a permanent decision based on emotions, she said carefully. No, I replied. I'm making it based on facts. That word, facts, shifted something again. So what, you're going to go tell everyone I'm some villain, she asked. This isn't about that, I said. This is about what you did. You're acting like I killed someone. No, I said. I'm acting like someone I trusted decided I didn't deserve honesty. So that's it? You're just going to walk away? She asked. Yes. She looked away toward the lobby floor. So what now? You just go home and pretend this conversation didn't happen, she asked. No, I said. We don't go home together. Excuse me. We're done, I said. I'm not going back into the same house with you like nothing happened. This is ridiculous, she said. You're making decisions like this in a hotel lobby. No, I said. I made the decision long before tonight. Where are you supposed to go then? She asked. I'll figure it out, I said. So what happens with everything, she asked. Our life. I said. She nodded slightly. We divide it, I said. Like adults. You're really going to go that route, she said. What route? I asked. The normal one after betrayal. I said. Silence. I wasn't trying to hurt you, she said. That doesn't matter anymore, I said. You're really just done, she said. Yes. Okay, she said. No apology. No emotion. Just acceptance. Her okay didn't feel like closure. It felt like shutdown. Like she'd mentally switched from fix this to endure this and move on as fast as possible. You're being serious? She asked. Yeah, I said. So you're just going to throw everything away? I'm not, I said. You already did. You're really just done, she said again. Yes, I said again. I wasn't trying to hurt you, she said. That doesn't matter anymore, I said. I didn't think you'd actually leave, she said quietly. That was the problem, I said. I wasn't trying to hurt you, she repeated again, weaker. That doesn't matter anymore, I said again. She nodded slowly. Then she pulled her suitcase. So where am I supposed to go tonight? She asked. Wherever you were going when you said you were working late, I said. She froze. Then she left. The ride home was silent. When I got back, it didn't feel like home anymore. She arrived later, packed, detached, procedural. This is so unnecessary, she said. We've already talked, I said. She packed efficiently. No emotion. You really didn't see this coming, she asked. I saw something was wrong, I said. I just didn't know how far you were willing to take it. It wasn't supposed to go like this, she said quietly. How was it supposed to go? I asked. Less complicated, she said. I don't know, she said when pressed. So what now? She asked. Now you pack, I said. Tonight? She asked. Yes. What happens with everything? She asked. We divide it, I said. You're really just done, she said. Yes. She left. After she left, I didn't move for a while. I walked through the apartment slowly. 2 toothbrushes. Half-empty closet. Perfume still in the air. Not sadness. Clarity. She texted later. I hope you're okay. I didn't reply. Because I didn't need closure from her. She had already given me everything I needed. I stopped fighting for a version of a relationship that only existed in my head. And I started rebuilding my life around reality instead. Not because it felt good. But because it was the only honest place left to stand.